So I had a meeting with talent one day, and I regrettably made a statement that sounded something like, all you talent in this room, none of you have ever really drawn money with the exception of these guys over here. And I pointed to Hulk first, and I pointed, I think, to Roddy, maybe, or somebody else, former WWE talent. What I was trying to point out is we were still a long way away from getting to where we needed to be as a company. And the reason we were in the position of getting close to where we needed to be was because of certain talent. And I pointed them out. But what a lot of people heard, and I understand why they heard it this way, was that none of you people matter, only these people matter. Well, Ric Flair was one of those people that were standing there. And that was very offensive to Rick. I didn't single Rick out. I didn't say, see Ric Flair over there? He's never drawn any money. I never said that. But what I did do is lump Rick into that kind of big category of people that have never drawn the kind of money that these people did. And Rick took offense to that. And I understand why, and he should have. It was the wrong thing for me to say. I love Rick. Despite the fact that he probably still hates my guts, I'll always have a lot of affection for Rick and a lot of respect for Rick, because he's achieved things that nobody else in this industry ever has. Have you seen him lately? Hanging out with Mike Tyson, smoking weed. He's having the time of his life. There's rap artists making music about him. He's on ESPN. He's more over now than he was in 1988 at the peak of his career. So how do you not respect Ric Flair, right? But Rick is also a very, very emotional person. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. And he's not the most stable person emotionally you've ever met in your life. And there was an incident that happened. It involved Rick wanting to take time off. Rick didn't follow protocol. He didn't do the things he should have done that he would have had to do in WWE for sure. But he thought because it was WCW, he could just make up his mind not to show up to pursue the things he wanted to do with his family, which, obviously I respect, but there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. And he just decided to no-show a couple events because he forgot to ask for the time off for whatever reason. So he just no-showed. And that turned into an issue. And then the legal department at Turner Broadcasting got a hold of it. And it started to escalate. And then Ric Flair sued Turner Broadcasting. And it made headlines in the Atlanta paper. It became very, very public. And it put me in a position where I was the boss. I have 100 people 100 wrestlers. I got another 100 staff, but I got 100 wrestlers under contract. All of them are very aware of the fact that Ric Flair decided not to show up when he was supposed to show up, and now he's suing me. I had to make a stand. I had to draw a line in the sand. And in a meeting, probably a couple weeks later, I called all the talent in the room. I said, here's what's going to happen. I am going to sue Ric Flair for breach of contract because he did breach his contract. He didn't show up when he was supposed to show up. He didn't follow protocol for asking for the time off. And by the way, this was Turner Legal that had made this decision. I just got to be the one to tell everybody. And we're going to sue Ric Flair, and we're going to put him into breach of contract. And if we don't resolve this, we're going to sue him into bankruptcy. Just so you all know, if you decide you want to do what Ric Flair's doing and just decide when you're going to show up or not and still expect your check every 2 weeks because you have a contract, I'm here to warn you, it's not how that works. That's what I did. And Rick took exception to that. Now, as far as how tough was it to work? Not hard at all. Once we resolved it, because Rick and I had been pretty good friends. You know, Rick and his wife at the time, and my wife Lori, and our kids and his kids, we'd all hang out at Disney MGM Studios together and swim and have cocktails all day long, and we had a great time. We went to Japan together. We had a wonderful, we had a good relationship up until that point. But once we resolved that issue, it was like, okay, now that that's over, how are we going to make money with this? And since so many fans knew about the issue, the backstory was so public, we just went, let's just carry it forward.